All right, well, welcome, George. Thank you for sitting down with us to talk about CPQ. Obviously, we've had a long-lasting relationship. You're a longtime user of CPQ, and so we're privileged to have you here to discuss how your experience has been and what you've learned along the way. But so, as I said, as a longtime CPQ user, kind of getting right into it, can you tell us a little bit about your role with CPQ and visual in your role within the company?
Sure. Yeah, I started with the company about 3 years ago at Humphreys, and really that was my first introduction to Infor CPQ. Before that, I had about 15 years experience, previous company working with a different CPQ product. So my knowledge experience with CPQ goes back really almost 2 decades. Here at Humphreys, we've been using the product, the Infor CPQ, for I think it's about 6 years now, and like I said, me specifically about 3 years, and yeah, it's totally uh, integral to our manufacturing process.
Great. So tell me a little bit more, about how you guys are using the configurator, using on just from sales and pricing to work order creation to anything else. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about how you're using the tool.
Sure. First of all, I should, make it clear that Humphreys, our product mix, are really all custom. Everything is made to order. So in an environment like that, you can't have, stock bill of materials. I mean, every order that goes out on the factory floor is going to be slightly different. The pricing might be different depending not only on what you're making, but depending upon which customer. The customer that buys a big box of Wheaties gets a slightly better price than the one that buys a small box of Wheaties, right? So it's all dependent on a whole bunch of different processes, and as a result, uh, that's where CPQ comes into play, right? Our our sales team, they receive an order from our customers, and they go, they create either an estimate or an order in visual, and then go right into the CPQ product. And they specify the dimensions of the product, they specify the color, any other parameters that that product might have. And when they are complete, not only does it present to them a price that is specific to that customer and that type of product, but also it provides manufacturing information. It essentially creates the entire work order for our factory that they use to process that that order appropriately.
So would you say it's helped then, improve the accuracy of your orders, improve the communication between both sides, the consistency of your configurations?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, doing it any other way. I mean, you think about in the world before a CPQ product where people were doing things on spreadsheets, or they just had, you know, lookup tables where they would look up prices and things like that. And you know, you're bound to have mistakes doing that sort of thing, right? So, you set up the rules within CPQ to say, when you're doing this, this is what gets done and this is the price of it. And then it's always that made that way with that price. So yeah, I mean, it's really, again, I can't imagine doing something in a made to order shop like this without a CPQ product.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, so we talked a lot about just repeatability and things like that, but what about when you need to introduce new options, new product features, pricing updates, things like that? How has CPQ helped you with those processes?
Oh yeah, I mean it's been really critical for that as well. I mean, we've been, in the world of COVID, everything seems to prices seem to update more rapidly than they ever have, right? Things have gotten a little bit more normal, in the past year or so. But I mean, we were in a situation back in 2020 when we were updating prices 3, 4, up to 6 times, within a year's time frame, right? And in order to do that, I mean, it's very simple. There are price matrices that we have set up in CPQ that it's really just a matter of, okay, we're going to update everything by 5% as an example, and we can flow that right through. So updating prices ends up being orders of magnitude easier with a tool like this. In addition, introducing a new product. I mean, we've got a situation now I can relate where we've got a different type of fabric that we're using, right? And again, it was just a matter of changing an option in one place to allow for that new type of fabric, and then putting in again in these matrices tables, the part numbers that are needed, and and the size, dimensions of it, which in this case is rolled stock. So it's, like a 61-inch or 120-inch wide roll. So again, introducing of products is just so much easier than, a bunch of handwritten notes that might be passed out in a different type of scenario.
Yeah. So obviously pricing, CPQ pricing being a big part of that. So a lot of the companies we work with, they have all kinds of different pricing. You talked about, your big box of Wheaties versus your little box of Wheaties, but how has CPQ helped you, implement your pricing and discounting policies? In maybe a follow-up to that is how easy has that been? Have you ran into any cases where it couldn't support pricing policies that you wanted to put in place?
No, I mean, it's got, this is CPQ is not a hammer. It's really a multi-function tool. So you really can do whatever you want with it. Certainly, as with anything, if you add complexity to it, there will be some difficulty in updating things. But yeah, there's really no limiting factor. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted to do as far as the pricing is concerned.
Great. So what are some of the unexpected ways that you guys have found to use CPQ within your organization?
Wow. I guess stumped me on that one there. I would say,
Maybe I'll help you out a little bit and expand on the question. So,
yeah,
some of the things that we'll see is even, you talked about repeatability. So, talking about, how easy or hard it is to get somebody into your processes now because of that repeatability. So, from an onboarding perspective, and educating your customers, to even talking about managing inventory and accuracy, or speed of communication. So again, these are some of the outside factors, but again, kind of put it back to you of maybe that sparks some ideas of where you guys have used it beyond just, you think about it in terms of the C and the P and the Q, but some of the other benefits that you get.
Right. I mean, certainly from an onboarding standpoint, having a tool such as this is going to be so much easier than, again, throwing a bunch of tables and charts in front of somebody, right? They can just step through when they're making up an order. A new salesperson can just step through, answer the questions, and comes out with a price. They don't have to think about. Our salespeople don't even really have to think about how it's manufactured. In the background, it's doing all of that, right? So, it does all of that automatically for them. So yeah, certainly from that standpoint, it's been a tremendous help. And from inventory, the CPQ works hand in hand with visuals. So, all of the inventory that you need to manufacture this product can be calculated. I mean, you can calculate, very precisely, how many yards of material that you're going to need through CPQ. So, it can can then specify that in the work order. So when the people are out on the line, they could say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to need 60 yards of this." Well, gee, there's only 20 yards here right now. We better get another roll. So they could see right up front. So from that standpoint, but and I'm glad you brought up, because that's, to me, is just kind of like second nature with CPQ. It's like, well, yeah, of course it does. Of course it does inventory, right? It's like, but you're prompting me like that really was beneficial.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about current state of how you're using the tool. Maybe talk a little bit about how the tool has progressed within your organization of what you guys are using, and then also any plans that you have for future visions of the tool. So again, a lot of times when we say CPQ, people immediately think of the configurator, but it's actually a suite of products, right? So looking at dealer portal or 2D or 3D presentation and beyond. So I don't know if you could talk a little bit about, maybe how you guys have started to evolve using the tool, and then what your vision looks like using it going forward.
Yeah, I mean, to us, I think the thing that really drove our company to the CPQ product was the need to get accurate information out to the factory floor, right? So that was our primary driver. Along the way, it's like, wow, it helped to help us with our pricing, right? And to that extent, I think we do want to extend it. We're looking out to the future here. At some point, we may have some sort of portal for our customers. Certainly in the interim time, I certainly want to do some more rendering within CPQ, because I think that would be very important for our salespeople to ensure the accuracy of the order that they're placing, right? So if you've got a fabric that's, the customer's colors are purple and gold, because that's their high school colors that they're ordering. But then if CPQ were to pop up a little visual showing colors of yellow and red, that would be a big stop sign. It's like, wait a minute, did I just order the wrong thing, or what's going on here? So there's a whole feedback that having even 2D type of rendering, I think, can ensure an even higher accuracy when you're ordering. So that's certainly one of the things that near term we definitely want to look at.
Great. Okay, well, any last thoughts that you want to leave any of the audience with about CPQ, or do you think you covered everything?
Well, again, with CPQ product, like I said, it's probably been around 20 years that I've been using CPQ product, and been involved with manufacturing systems for much longer than that. I go back to a time where every single variation in the product that a company had a separate bill of materials. And the time and effort and the person power that required was enormous, right? We had people dedicated to doing little segments of that. There were so many aspects of it. A tool like this makes it so much easier. You don't have to have all of that stuff pre-made. In addition, you don't have to have all the books and tablets and the price tables and everything there for you. So, and I said this before, if you're in a made to order type of environment, and you're not using CPQ, it's like, why haven't you considered it? What's your hesitation? And certainly companies like yourself can certainly help to address and alleviate any fears that you might have. So yeah, that's where I guess I'll leave it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today and sharing all your valuable experiences, both of what you've used at CoverSports, and then just what you've seen within the CPQ space.